Hey, running friends. Welcome to the Wrinkled Runner podcast. I'm Sherry, the Wrinkled Runner. I'm over 50 and I love to run wherever I go, but Buffalo, New York is my home. If you are looking to start to run or you're an older runner, this podcast is especially for you, so subscribe now. I love to help people get running and keep running.
Okay, guys, we are going to warm up for 5 minutes, and as I said last week, part of your homework was to put together your own warm-up. And so I'm going to let you know every time a minute passes so that you are able to be where you need to be when you start to run. So you have about 30 seconds before the first minute happens or is passed, and you have 4 minutes to go. So I'm walking, and I'm going to go to the cemetery. It's a really yucky day today here in Buffalo. We're in the middle of a bunch of snow, which I wasn't expecting. That was supposed to end this morning about 7:15, and it's going on 11. Okay, you have 4 more minutes before we start to run. And so, nothing is plowed, nobody's shoveled because it's still snowing. And I'm hoping that being in the cemetery is a little quieter and maybe not so messy, but one never knows. So you have 30 seconds left before you have 3 minutes left. Now, the reason that I had you do this for homework and to put together a warm-up is because I don't want you to be dependent on other people for your training and your working out forever. Now, obviously, when you're first starting out, you're going to have to rely on people. And okay, 3 minutes left. You have to rely on people to kind of give you guidance, because also running or doing any kind of working out willy-nilly is not the way to go. But I want to teach you and give you some tools so that you can start to learn some things and have the confidence to, in the end, as time goes on, put together some of your own stuff. And a warm-up is a very simple place to start to be able to do that. So that is why I'm having you put together your own warm-ups. And from here on out, that is what I'm going to have you do, is put together your own warm-up. I might throw in every once in a while a different kind of warm-up for you to do and to suggest 3, 2, 1, 2 minutes before we start to run. But that is what I would like you to do. So, getting across the street here, a lot of traffic. We are going to start really kind of getting into the nitty-gritty now. This run, a 4-minute run, 1 minute rest. This is going to feel rough for a lot of you. I know last week we started running more than walking, but you did have 2 minutes of recovery. Today you only have 1 minute and 4 minutes of running. So that's a big jump. And just like last week, I was really focusing on being in tune to your body. That's really going to come into play here, because I want you to feel what you're feeling. Okay, 1 minute left, and then we're going to run for 4 minutes. But I want you to acknowledge if you need to slow down or if you need to take a walk break, and just make sure that you are really paying attention. My interest here is not to force you to run for 4 minutes, but to try to bring you to the point where you can run for 4 minutes. And if you're not there yet, have you be able to hang in there until you are there. Okay, so about 20 seconds left, and we're going to be running for 4 minutes. Actually, you're going to be running for 4 minutes. I'm at a pretty busy intersection, so I will be walking until I can get myself over to the cemetery. Say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Run for 4 minutes. So you're still going to be running 6 times because we're still at like 5 minutes for the workout. But you'll be breaking that up much differently than the other ones. And I want you, it's going to feel hard, and I want you to feel the hard and embrace the hard. I don't want you to feel pain, however, okay? This is not a no pain, no gain issue when we're talking about learning how to run. It's actually not that way for anything. That's a very kind of old school concept, and I don't want you to feel like you are in pain. I want you to feel like this is hard and you're expending energy, but I don't want you to feel like you are injuring yourself. Okay, so that's a big deal. Now I want to check in for a second on how your homework was this past week. You had strength training homework and dynamic stretching. You put together your warm-up, and also how is your running this week? You know, let's check in with that. How did you do with your running? Because you were supposed to go do it 4 times if you could, and that's adding an extra day, which is an extra time commitment. And I know that can be hard to carve out the time when you're doing this. You're also at a critical juncture, I feel like, because you've been doing this for like a month, and that can kind of be when things start to fall apart or you fall off the wagon, so to speak. So I want to check in with you on how you are doing with all those different things, because, you know, I've given you a lot more than just, oh, go out and run. I did have you do some homework, and just how do you feel about that? How did you do with your strength training? Was it hard? Did it feel good? Was it something that you think you'll continue? Strength training can be very, it's not difficult when you're doing it, but it can be difficult to keep up. And those of us who run know very well that it can be a struggle, even though for those of us who've been running for a long time, it can absolutely be a struggle when you are learning how to run. All right, I try not to be killed here as I go across the street. So, okay, weird. All right, got it. Hopefully the noise of the cars and everything go away in a second. I'm almost to the cemetery. But it can be a struggle for all of us. I struggle with it, you know. I know it's good for me. I try to do it consistently, much more consistent than I used to be. But it can also be a struggle. And because you are learning how to run, and I'm telling you to strength train, and I'm telling you to do stretches, that's a lot. So, but I want you to enjoy it. And so if you need to ease gradually into all of this stuff, then I would rather see you running than jumping into all the things, because I know that can be discouraging also. So, you know, make running the priority, carve out the time for the running, and everything else can come as you get to it. Okay, recover for only 1 minute. This is where you're going to feel the struggle. Is this minute is going to go by really fast. So this is where you're going to have to start kind of really digging in to yourself and really check in and know that you can do it. Maybe you have to take the pace down a bit. Maybe you do have to take a walk break in the middle of the run, but I have full confidence that you will get there. Just don't give up. Don't be in pain. Don't injure yourself. But you will get to the point where this doesn't feel so bad. And if you run it 4 times this week, by the end of the week, it shouldn't feel super hard. Okay, that minute is almost over. We're going to run again for 4 minutes. Okay, so I haven't gotten any emails, so my thinking is that I've given you enough dynamic stretches to take care of some of the things that you may be feeling sore about, and enough warm-ups to put together a warm-up and enough strength training resources to do some strength training. If that is not the case, please do email me, because I am here to help you. I want to coach you through this, and you're getting the benefit of my coaching for not having to hire me. So I want you to take advantage of that, and you email me with any questions you may have, with any future goals you may want to discuss, and any issues that you may be having. I am absolutely here to help. In talking about, I hope you guys aren't hearing this sloshing as badly as I am. In talking about doing this homework that I've given you, which may have surprised some of you, that I was giving you more than just running. It's funny when you start to learn how to run and start to learn how to do things associated with running, that it is more than just the running. When I first started running, I thought, this is gonna be a really cheap way to stay in shape. All I need is sneakers and shorts and a t-shirt and I'm good. And you come to find out that it can actually get expensive if you're getting the watches and you're buying the socks and all the specialty things. Now, I'm not saying that you need to spend a lot of money. I do think that getting the right kind of equipment for your sport is beneficial to you. Running in your cotton sticks t-shirt, if you know what that is, it's not going to help you, because it's not going to be comfortable. You're going to sweat and be gross, and you're not going to like it. So even though I advocate for getting the right kinds of things, I'm not saying you have to spend a lot of money, but it's just funny to me that there's so much more that goes into putting one foot in front of the other than a lot of times we may think when we first start out. And I think that's why it's so difficult for some of us who run and where this is our thing, to do things like the strength training and the stretching, and because it's extra, right? It's stuff we don't love. I'm not a bodybuilder. I don't have that mindset. I don't want the muscles. And so it's something that I don't love. Conversely, one of my sons is a bodybuilder, but he also does run some, but he doesn't like it. So it's adding in those extras that can be kind of a pain, but that actually benefit the running. So if you can frame it that way, if you're really starting to jive with this running thing and you're really starting to enjoy it, look at those other things as just enhancing your running, because it will be so much better for you in the end. And okay, recover 1 minute. And like I was talking about last week, when you get in the habit of doing some of these things, then it just makes it so much easier, and you're in a so much better spot than when I started learning about this stuff, which was like 10 years into running, and had to then take the time to start incorporating some of this stuff. So, it's a slog sometimes, but I think that it does you so good if you can get that done. So like I said, this run today, the 4-1, I want you to do, if you can, 4 times this week. That means carving out 3 more times this week that you can do this. Now, 3, 2, 1, run. Now, I had also told you last week to take note of your distance at the end of the week if you did the 3 2s for the week last week. And if you didn't, you shouldn't be moving on to the 4-1, just saying. If you took note of the distances that you have traveled overall and at the end of the week versus when you first started, obviously adding more running minutes will make you go further even within that 30-minute run walking time. And it's just an encouragement to be able to see that maybe you've traveled further than in the first week, because motivation can get low, like I said earlier today, and it's just easy to start making excuses for not having enough time and, not being able to get out there. One thing that I'm learning as I get my certified personal trainer certification is a lot more about the psychology behind athletics. And one of the things that was stressed this past week when I was studying was motivation and intrinsic versus extrinsic. And the X is obviously outside forces. You want to lose weight to look good, or you want to you're with somebody who's very athletic, and so you want to be athletic too. Now, those kinds of things, they can go away. And if you have more of an intrinsic motivation to do this, then, or intrinsic, I keep adding an N, and that's not right, but if you have more of an inner motivation in your running, that is going to take you much further. If your interest is to get healthy, or your interest is to stay active, for those grandkids, like that's a big part of why my husband likes to run. Those kinds of things are going to take you further motivationally than just you want to look good at the gym. So try to identify within yourself some of the reasons to keep this up. Try to figure out, I'd hate to say your why, because I'm just not a philosophical person. So when people ask me my why, I'm not really good at knowing what that is. I'm just not built that way. But try to find a motivation that is within you to keep this up versus just an external one, because that can wane really, really quickly. Okay, again, guys, I'm sick. Again, one of the joys of having grandkids. I have 5 of them, and I just keep getting sick from them. But okay, walk for 1 minute. So if you do hear a silence, again, it's because I'm blowing my nose and saving you from having to listen to that. The other thing I want you to keep track of within your body is, how are you feeling strength-wise? Even if you haven't started doing the strength training yet, you should still feel a little bit stronger than when you started this, either in the legs or being able to go further, being able to do the whole 4 days or do the whole 4 minutes. Are you feeling stronger? Those kinds of things, if we keep track of them, can really help us to keep at it as we're going on this running journey. Okay, here we go. 1 run. So those kinds of things are why I always recommend people have a running journal. It doesn't have to be this crazy detailed thing, but even being able to look back a few weeks ago to when you started and seeing how far you've come can go such a long way to keeping you disciplined, even when the motivation goes down. So the other thing I want to talk about today, very quickly, because I've touched on it in the last few weeks, but I'll probably touch on it every week, is because I want to go live with you guys, run together for the first 30-minute run where you are running all 30 minutes and not walking. I want to do that live. So I put together a survey that was up last week in last week's show notes, and I'll put those up again, obviously, every week, just to try to find a consensus for when is the best time for everybody. Now, I think I put this on the survey, but one of the things to keep in mind is I live in New York, so I'm in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. So keep that in mind when you're answering the survey. You may have to do a little bit of math to figure out what time is the best for you based off of the times that I listed, which I'm going to consider as Eastern Standard Time. So just keeping that in mind. I'm not sure how clear I was with that. And, if someone in California says 8 a.m. on, Tuesday morning, for me, that's like 5 a.m. And I'm not going to be doing that. So just keep that in mind. You may have to do a little bit of math when you're answering that survey. So one of the things I think that people do struggle with running is having confidence in it. When you're running and you're just starting out, you can see other people running and just not have the confidence that you may want to have, or you don't feel like you know what you're doing. So for some people, me telling them to put together their own 5-minute warm-up, it's kind of like shocking that I would do that. And one of the things about being a coach, one of the traps that we fall into is we want to, of course, speak with confidence and say that, give you the tools that you need. But sometimes we translate that into meaning we have to hold your hand and do everything for you in order to be considered a good coach. And I was in that trap. I'm not in that trap anymore. I think it is more beneficial for you if I give you the tools to use to take charge of your own training so that you do feel confident. Okay. And recover 1 minute. If you have the confidence to be able to put together your own warm-up and eventually put together your own training, then you're going to be able to run no matter where you are. You're not going to be reliant on the internet or a podcast episode or whatever. Now, that I'm not saying at all that if you're interested in having a coach, that you shouldn't have a coach. But a coach should give you the confidence and give you the tools that you need so that eventually it's kind of like, I don't remember the name of the app, but it's like this purple fuzzy thing, and it's a dating app, and their kind of thing is that eventually you would delete that app. And so my thing is 3, 2, 1, run. My thing is giving you enough confidence that if you were somewhere where your coach wasn't, or where nothing was, you would be able to go out for a run with confidence. And even if you're seeing somebody else, I remember, especially when I would do intervals. And so for intervals, you're running just like you're doing now. You're doing an interval where you're running and then you stop and you walk. For the longest time, I didn't like doing intervals outside, because if there were other people running, I was like, oh, I'm walking, I should be running the whole time. And I have since learned how wrong that is. Even elites will stop and walk. And so if somebody who goes to the Olympics can do that, I certainly can stop and walk. So, and as you learn more about that stuff, you can have confidence that maybe the person that you think is looking at you and judging you actually doesn't know all that much about running. And so the more tools and resources that you have, you can have that confidence that you are doing the right thing. So stick with it and, do your research. Follow people who are good at, coaching and good at running, that can teach you, because sometimes the confidence that other people are showing, it's not really confidence, and it's not really that they're doing the thing right. But if they're running confidently, you might think they're doing the right thing. So keep all that in mind. Run with confidence, build your confidence, and just don't let anyone else take you down, Just, you're doing this for you, and you're great at it. So just keep it up. The whole thing is about taking ownership for yourself. It's making sure that your training is your training, which is kind of what a running coach does, is personalize your training so that you can start personalizing your training, if that makes sense. We all know that we do so much better at work if we're not being micromanaged. And the same is true of athletics and all that kind of thing as well. Guys, I am kind of, I know where I am. I'm like, I'm kind of lost. I'm not lost, I'm good. This is a really big cemetery, Forest Lawn Cemetery in Buffalo. It's pretty long, or pretty big. So sometimes I do get turned around, especially as I'm talking to you. I'm not really paying much attention to where I'm going. So you are, if you're like me and you're running and it is, I wouldn't call it a snowstorm, but it's not fun. You can hear by my breathing that I'm very labored, and part of it is because it's very windy, and so it's kind of taking my breath away. But part of the great thing about having to run for you is I have to have the discipline to do this, even when it's like this. And that's going to be a lesson for you too. Okay, recover for 1 minute. And I'm glad for that. Discipline in running is going to take you far. Making it a priority, saying I'm going to get up and run first thing every morning, or right when I get home from work. Sometimes my husband, what he does to stay disciplined if we can't run in the morning, is he will take his running clothes to work and change into them before he gets home. So when he's home, he's all ready to go. It's not a matter of having to go and get his clothes on, and getting ready that's the biggest pain, isn't it? Is getting ready to go somewhere is the biggest pain. Usually when I'm, out and about and whatever, I'm happy, I love it, I'm so glad I did that. Okay, guys, last run. Woohoo! You did it. Last run. You kind of, you're laying on the couch or whatever, and you're having some tea and you're all snuggled up, and you got to be somewhere, especially in the winter when it gets dark so early. That is the last thing that you want to do, is to get up and get ready. It can be so hard, and you're just waiting for that text so that the other person cancels the plans so that you don't have to get up off the couch. And we all are there. We all get there. Okay. There is a funeral procession going on, so I'm going to slow down and walk out of respect to them. Everybody gets to the point where they just don't want to do something, and having the discipline is, changing into those clothes before you leave work so that you're all ready to go when you get home. Waking up, rolling out of bed in the morning. What I've recently found out, and it's probably no kidding for a lot of you, but what I recently found out is that on the iPhone anyway, if you set an alarm, you can tell it to not snooze, because it would drive me insane that the snooze button is this big button in the middle, so I'd constantly hit the snooze button instead of the stop button. Now, if you're in danger of falling asleep quickly, and you need a snooze button, that's fine. But once I'm up, I'm up. But rolling out of bed and getting out in the dark and in the cold can be difficult. But just so you know, you can tell your iPhone to not let you snooze, and you can just have it stop. And maybe that will be the key for you getting out of bed before you fall back asleep and going for a run. So discipline can be your friend if you want to keep on keeping on with this running thing, is finding little ways to make sure that it happens. Okay, let's talk about homework a little bit for next week. Again, I want you to do this run 3 more times. And again, there'll be links to interval apps and things that you can use to make sure that you can, know when the 4 minutes is, know when the 1 minute rest is. You're doing it 6 times still. And if you need any help with that kind of thing, with the intervals, then, just let me know, and I can help you with that as best I can on a virtual basis. I want you to strength train for 10 minutes 2 times this week, and take a survey for the live run. And maybe that will be a little bit of a motivation to keep you going, because if you've told me that you're available Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., maybe that'll keep you going, having made a commitment. And also do some dynamic stretching. Now, next week, we are going to do 5 run and still the 1 minute walk. Now, after this week, you should be more conditioned to doing that. Okay, 2, 1. All right, recover for a minute. You should be more conditioned to do that because you've done the work this week of only having a minute of recovery. And so it should be a little bit easier for you next Monday, or whenever you space out your runs, to move up to that 5 minute of straight running thing. If it's not, again, assess and decide if you need to stay at the 4-1 for a bit before going up to the 5-1. And that will only be for 5 times. So we've been run walking intervals for 6 times. That is going to knock down to only doing it 5 times. So when you switch to that, sometimes it messes with your distance a little bit. All right, we're going into our 5-minute cool down. That sometimes messes with your distances a little bit. So just keep that in mind when you drop a interval. So the other thing, next week I'm going to be talking about the top 10 YouTube videos that I've done this year, or well, in 2022, and just give you kind of a overall snapshot of what those videos were about. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to link to all of them, only because the show notes can only handle so much. And with listing the homework and the resources and things, I don't know that I'll be able to link you up to them, but I'll link you up to the YouTube video that goes over the videos. So that's what I'll talk about next week. And just keep in mind that my YouTube video and my Wrinkled Runner website with posts and things are a little bit more advanced. So, but I do some recipes and things like that over there. So you may be interested in some of that, as we have talked about fueling and fueling your running a few weeks ago. So don't forget, this week I want you to take ownership of your training, of your running, and I want you to put together a 5-minute warm-up again for yourself. Try to put some variety into it and see what you can come up with. Also, run this 4 times and email me if you have any questions, any concerns, anything that you think I can help you with. It helps me so much when people email me, because then I know what people want to hear about. And it is interesting to me, the questions that get asked about things that I wouldn't think about. And I can only put out so much content with my own brain, I guess, trying to come up with things that I think that runners need to know or want to know about. So you telling me, different things that you have questions about, concerns about, that really helps me like you wouldn't believe. So keep those emails coming. At the end of the 10 weeks, we'll be doing some Q&A podcast episodes with some of those questions and me answering some of those questions. But you never have to wait that long. If you're the one emailing me a question about something, I do get back to you right away. Now, sometimes it takes a few days. I just get so much spam that wading through everything it can take a while. So if I don't get back to you in a few days, you can either shoot me another email or just, figure something's going on. And other times too, the questions can be something that I am not 100% confident in answering just off the cuff. So I do my own research into that topic, and then we'll get back to you with what my research came up with and different links for you as well. And so if I don't answer you right away, it may be because I'm researching whatever question that you may have had on that day. So I will get back to you. I read every email, even the spammy ones, to make sure that it's not spam. But I do appreciate when people talk to me and let me know what's going on with their running. Okay, so we have about 49 seconds left in this workout. I really thank you for hanging in there. I think it's great that you've gotten this far. I encourage you to keep going, and if I can be an encouragement to you, please let me know. And I will talk to you, and well, you can hear me. You won't see me, but you can hear me next week. So you have 20 more seconds of the cool down. 10 more seconds. Getting to the end. And I need to get my gloves on. I took my gloves off. Boy, it's cold. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Workout ended, guys. Thanks for being with me, and I'll see you next week.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you know another runner who could benefit from today's topic, go ahead and share it. Do you have any running questions? You can ask me. Email me at sherry@wrinkledrunner.com, and if I can't answer your question, I will do the research to find the answer and share it with you. The questions I get from listeners like you help me develop episodes, so please don't be shy. You can sign up for my once-a-month newsletter using the link provided so that you can have all the Wrinkled Runner resources from the past month all in one place. I also have opened up my virtual coaching in addition to coaching one-on-one with those in the Buffalo, New York area. So head to my coaching page on the Wrinkled Runner website, which I will, of course, link to, and check out how we may be able to work together. Until next Monday, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the run.